Good evening, pallets and mercs, or should I say morning. It is currently 4 o'clock in the morning when I'm doing this. I'm sure every single pilot in the bay below me is probably going to give out to me for doing it this early in the morning, but nonetheless, Black Pants Legion has released the Mercenary Guide on the HETZER, and HETZER. I want to see the tank. I am very interested to see the tank. I am very interested to see what Tex has to say about this particular tank, because I haven't heard too much about it, but I have had some experience with that out on the field. Going up against two AC-20s is a way to wake up in the morning. I usually prefer coffee, but getting scared by a ballistic shotgun is also a way to wake up in the morning. So grab your drinks, grab your snacks, and let's see what our dear old Merc has to say about that. Alrighty. Battletech, Mech Warrior Lore, the Mercenary's Guide to Vehicles, the HETZER. Now, to be fair, we have not done a video like this in a while, and I know I'm jumping ahead to the HETZER, but everyone was kind of wanting that one. And it's not like we haven't broken some continuity or release order before for particular videos. So I know I'm skipping ahead to this one. I want to see this one, and we will go back to the clan primer very soon. I am very interested on that. I've been rewatching the American Civil War videos, so if that gives you any indication of how much I absolutely love these videos, I think that Tex did a fantastic job. And I will admit, I've seen a little bit of the intro here just to sound test, and Tex, you and your team have done a very good job on this. Let me just send it. I love how this is set up. Comstar Computing, your only choice. I love the DOS setup here. If you don't know what DOS is, well, it's... You know what? I'm just going to let the comments roast. I'm sorry. Wait. Hold on. What did that say? Mech Commander 4. If only if only Hunchback 3C Blueprints, Mercenary's Guide. I need a book like this. Compellins, low pay, no jobs, I'm assuming. Jade Falcon. Yeah, this seems all up to date. Vehicle
Howdy there, folks, and welcome again.
Oh, there he is.
I apologize first and foremost for those who have waited for more course material, as it was every intention of the Van Zandt Horse Studies Department to continue the basic primer series. However, well...
But other things got in the way.
This return to form has been sadly delayed, so please accept my humble apologies on behalf of the Institute. For helpful reference, I suggest beginning with the aforementioned primer lesson on the great houses as offered. It is a very simple, surface-level guide for mercenaries.
Okay. We will go back to this primer, especially with the clan. We were up to the clan primer for the clans. I'm not sure if I've seen this one before, but generally I have the gist of it, so I think it'll be fine. I do want to go back and watch it because, again, Tex is good, and I want to push as many people to see the genuine monumental effort that goes into these videos and to genuinely just help out the charity causes, because if Tex wants to help out, like, making wonderful content and supporting charities to boot, I'm all here for it. I am all here for it every day.
So
This
that
is
freelance pilots
good
may
stuff.
gain a better understanding of what awaits them out in the field, and who's good for the money when it's time to throw down.
House Steiner. They are as dumb as a bag of bricks, but most of the time that check will clear. You'll have a couple of times where they backstab you, as with all houses, but if you want somebody who consistently pays, it's going to be Steiner. They have better quality of life in the FedCom era and generally tend to be better about that sort of thing. Of course, I hail more from the Magistrate Canopus side, so expect me to kind of hold them at the end of a stick, as well as the rest of the inner sphere, but that's kind of how that goes. You put up with them just to get their good stuff and specifically House Steiner's money. And then you just go home and you enjoy everything that your periphery state offers.
On that note, remember this mercenary axiom to guide you in your endeavors. Everyone's your brother until the rent is due.
Yes,
On
that
topic,
too.
however, please know that this guide series is not intended to replace any amount of real-life experience, your own studies, or even coursework from other, far more credentialed persons than myself. This series is instead offered as a basic primer to begin your exploration of numerous subjects directly related to our shared profession. As for today's free exchange of ideas and ammunition, I humbly submit the Mercenary's
He
Guide
said
to
the thing.
Armored Combat, a
He said
multi-part
the thing.
exploration series wherein I will cover tank-shaped objects, proper tanks, tracked vehicles, and all other manner of crunchy things underfoot, which can and frequently will directly complicate your long-term career ambitions. If time allows, I may stumble over into the world of prop jockeys and rotor queens, depending on your interest, of course. But I warn you, they're weird people, and so their machines can be, well, odd.
This is called Jesus Nut because it breaks you when you Also, if you're heading over to his side to comment what vehicle you want to see next or anything like that, he said this time and time again, and I will reiterate this. Please, for the love of God, do not comment any vehicle you want him to make a video on. If he puts up a post saying that there's a range of topics that he wants to put out, I would vote on that, or try to be a part of the votes as well. I'm also saying this for myself because I almost wanted to say he should do a video on one of the VTOLs, but no, I need to go vote on a particular. I need to see if he has any new posts for videos, because it'd be interesting to see some of the VTOLs. I've been getting interested in them as far as Battletech 362 goes.
Along the way,
But yeah,
I
these are a
will
little
drop
bit
whatever pearls of wisdom I can, such as they are. There are deeper subjects in the works, but they will take time due to the magnificently complex subject matter at hand.
Yes, these will be
It's a
long
working
videos.
title, so don't get too excited. The tank itself has been a core component of mechanized warfare since the mid-20th century. However, with the advent of the battle mech, some military thinkers had, at that point, declared the tank's days finally done. To be entirely fair, Military thinkers, strategies, industry leaders, and politicos tend to do this every single time a new technology appears in the service of warfare.
No, well, okay. I'm not disagreeing with tax. I want to point out one particular house did this a lot. House Davion. You were talking about House Davion, and I would know this because I was not born in the periphery. I was born in Davion space. And that's relevant because they will pilot mechs as if God themselves came down and ordained that you will pilot mechs, and anything else is basically heresy or second rate. This is specifically who he's talking about, and he doesn't want to say anything because, well, House Davion pays sometimes, or they just quietly put you in a ditch while they claim honor and glory. If you can't tell, I don't have a very high opinion of House Davion. But they're fine for gallivanting knights and pretending that honor and devotion means anything. Anyways, next.
With every generation in turn declaring with great finality and appropriately jargon-tailored buzzwords that the previous yardstick of military might will soon become obsolescent, if not immediately replaced by newer, better, faster, and often as much more expensive solutions. And regardless of popular opinion to the contrary, they often rush to heap what worked onto the pile of what was, as just another casualty of rapid technological innovation, or as they call it, the price of progress in a changing world. In my humble opinion, however, those guys are mostly full of it. Facts support this point of view, as the tank has indeed survived the battle mech, and further, it has continually evolved alongside the platform, adapting to new technology standards, new doctrines, and new strategies to maintain its lethality and battlefield presence. Multitudes of armored vehicles have indeed managed to thrive despite numerous successive generations in battle mech design, and stubbornly stand as an ever-present reminder that the so-called kings of the modern battlefield are descended from ancient and yet still incredibly potent fighting platforms.
Okay. You know what's funny? It's funny that he mentions all this because when I started playing 3062 specifically, I went from, vehicles are kind of outdated, they don't really feel as punishing, to I would rather take on these two. No, I would rather take on all three of these at once than deal with a demolisher, because this thing shows up and it just refuses to die. It is not there to kill you. It is there to fucking annoy the shit out of you until you decide to leave. That or just manages to kill you. It's not even the fact that it's deadly sometimes. It's more the fact that this thing is a fucking brick and it will sit there and it will start picking at you. And unfortunately, the Demolisher here tends to have a few more weapons systems than even the mechs can put on sometimes. Whether it be the Shrieker, which is not mentioned here, or the Demolisher, which is basically, I forget if it's 80 or 100 tons, but it feels more annoying than either of these mechs here. Which is saying something because I love the awesome 3 PPCs. This one's generally regarded as one of the best mechs to ever exist, with good reason. And then this is something the clan forgot to pay their bills on. And honestly, it's rather terrifying. But I feel like this thing, more times than not, has embarrassed me if not directly, then just by the fact that it just refuses to stop being a thorn in my side. So no, these things are very effective.
And regardless of what war planners may opine for future generations, it is very likely that tanks and other armored vehicles will never be fully replaced as reliable, dependable warfighting platforms. And I feel this trend is likely to continue for a number of very practical reasons. One is that tanks, IFVs, and other armored vehicles have typically been a very affordable option when put alongside battle mechs, as mechs require enormously complex industrial integration plans to actually manufacture at scale in an efficient manner. And due to the limitation of resources, industrial centers, and the sheer depth of subject matter expertise required to make such a venture even possible, let alone successful, many of these supply chains to make so much as a single mech frequently span multiple planets, if not multiple star systems. And when those supply chains are threatened, cratered, or actually destroyed, tanks and all their kin become increasingly viable as fallback battlefield options. And that's because history has proven, from the dawn of the tank to the present day, you can build a very okay, if not perfectly adequate tank on a world possessing no greater than a mid-20th century level of technology. And if your industrial capacity is larger or significantly more complex than that, well, you can mass-produce vast numbers of very efficient murder machines at relatively low cost, thanks to a nasty trick called the economy of scale. Thus, this guide series is offered as a basic primer for the dangers of mass-produced armored warfare platforms, ranging from the humble to the absolutely ridiculous. With that said, let us begin with the world of tank-shaped objects.
Because for some of these, I've never seen some of these tanks before. Because again, the majority of tanks and I had a few issues on my end, mostly with cable that just decided to get a little bit loose and then, well, caused the entirety of my setup to go dark for a little bit. Nothing is damaged, nothing is wrong, just a little bit of cable management caused my whole screen to go dark, and it was not fun. So we're just going to continue on.
We begin with the HETZER. I'll begin with the facts such as they are, and then proceed to the justified character assassination of the subject at hand. The HETZER has a reputation. To most in our profession, the HETZER is a well-known wheeled assault vehicle capable of bringing a lot of firepower to the table at ridiculously minimal cost. This is largely thanks to the extreme austerity measures present in every possible design criteria or manufacturing process decision that makes the HETZER, well, the HETZER.
Okay, I am looking at this thing and I'm already seeing a few issues. You're telling me that you can put an AC-20 on the battlefield for 600,000 C-bills. This thing is going to be an Irby. It's either not going to be fast, it's going to have thin armor, or probably all the above. Like, I would see this thing basically, it's very nimble and fast and has like maybe a couple of shots, or really slow and it still has a couple of shots. Like, this feels like a hunchback situation. That's my initial impressions, but this something is fishy for 600,000. disposable frontliner. Yeah, that's kind of the
Regardless of
vibe
its
I
obvious
get.
limitations, it is a platform so cheap and readily available that throw a HETZER at it and see what happens is for some military organizations a tactical threshold on Maslow's hierarchy of mutually assured defense. The strategic reason for this is, well, losing a HETZER is really not a big deal. And if the enemy
True.
has something more impressive than a HETZER to counter your minimal tasking of forces, you can finally justify all that other stuff you've been itching to use since the last war and thus escalate appropriately. As for the how and why of the HETZER, well, let's break that down. First and foremost, let's talk QuickSell for a moment. As one of the many popular products of QuickSell, the HETZER is, I feel, quite emblematic of the company's operations across known space, as it neatly sums up the strengths and weaknesses of that company's design, manufacturing, and marketing strategies, if not their philosophy as the bargain choice for what wars you may be currently fighting or intending to fight in the near future. In my humble opinion, QuickSell has a well-earned reputation for what they do.
More and more I hear about this, the more and more I actually want to do an entire campaign just basically just House Liao style, or even no, not Liao, House Mark. Basically just get a bunch of these units together. And I do mean like just buy as many as physically possible and just send it onto the battlefield. Like, I legitimately kind of want to do business with QuickSell. Maybe even have like a sponsorship with them or something. Just have a merc company just based around, I'm going to drown you in as many of these fucking things as I can. Like Savannah Masters, the HETZER here, because they seem to be quite honestly what I'm looking for
QuickSell has
with that.
forged an impressive legacy of near-competent homegrown design theories or purchase smarter work, then absorbed or co-opted into their conglomerate of manufacturers. This is counterbalanced by their practice of accepting a terrifying rate of manufacturing defects, shoddy construction practices, and borderline corporate malfeasance to cut every corner possible. They then pass.
But you know what's great about QuickSell at the end of the day? It is cheap because it's borderline a scam. It's borderline, you buy a mech or you bought a tank from Temu. But as long as it launches ordnance, in that case, it doesn't really
all of
matter.
their savings and the numerous unforeseen consequences onto the customer. However, if you need entirely too much too soon, QuickSell's sales division certainly has you covered. Because frankly, that's quite likely their entire market, if not the foundation of their entire business strategy. They ply their trade catering to the desperate, and then taking advantage of that trust all the way to the bank.
Oh, no. You don't understand. In this particular case, it's not even trust. It's like, I'm going to buy as many of these as possible. So I could probably even scrap some of these and put the parts onto other vehicles that haven't malfunctioned and just send it. For every 10 that you buy, you get 9 functioning HETZERs and a free decoy. Fuck yes, that's what we love to see.
Their contributions to the world of warfare largely consist of lowering the bar one product at a time to feed.
Hold on. Turns out an elemental can bend the barrel of a HETZER as in out of the suit with his bare hands. Operation Bulldog, best day of my life. Yeah,
The
that
paranoid requirements of blindfolded acquisition programs now
that'll do it.
hurriedly trying to make up for poor planning or the wholesale and unfounded belief in very dumb ideas. Sold far and wide as a bargain bin solution to any strategic inequities you may possess, the HETZER is,
Cheap, cheerful, and full of
well,
regret.
unique. Firstly, it's not well made, and it is unfortunately typical that HETZER deliveries for any defense force buying them will have to contend with ever-present and terrifyingly common quick sell manufacturing defects. It is a fact that HETZERs may arrive fresh from the factory with a lack of paint, wiring, essential core components, or even the goddamn wheels. As to
How do you forget the wheels? Okay, no. I could understand some of the wiring, but they're just straight up missing wheels. Like, I love this company. No, oh God, I'm gonna have to put in an order of so many of these. You're gonna just straight up rob me of the wheels. Oh my God, I want to do so much business with this company. Like, could you imagine a campaign where you're just like, yep, you pop from quick sell, now you have to roll the dice to see if it has any manufacturing defects, and then again to see which one that you get. I would love that. I'm gonna have to do that. That is so brilliant. Oh, I'm gonna have so much fun with this. I need so many of these in my bays
why
immediately.
customers would ever put up with this? Well, the HETZER
The HETZER is cheap, and in my case, I'm doing it for content, to be completely fair. But like, you're either doing it for the laughs or you're doing it for the I need equipment now, and I'm a microfaction
is
at this
cheap,
point.
very cheap. Likely cheaper still if you buy them in bulk. And knowing quick sell, you're very likely out of smarter options by the time the salesman shows up to take your money. As such, the HETZER's minimal price point makes it a
No.
platform that is very desirable for many requiring armor-adjacent solutions, as it is an order of magnitude cheaper than operating a battle mech, any which way you care to measure it. I need you to understand that this assessment is not an exaggeration in the slightest, as the HETZER is even cheaper than many battle mech weapon systems. And so offered, the haphazard HETZER is intended from the get-go as a disposable armor platform for you to throw at the problem until better help arrives or you can escape. The HETZER's presence on the battlefield is a sign of crippling austerity, if not a signal of exceptionally limited means. In quick sell's defense, however, it is cheap. So let's break down how cheap it is, so you can understand where I'm coming from. Here's
Absolutely.
a HETZER for
Let's see
sale
it.
from Quicksell. Now let's use some industry math to figure out the margins. An AC-20 without ammo on the free market is about 300,000 C-bills. Take that away, and for the HETZER itself, minus manufacturing costs, the price of shipping, short and long-term storage, taxes, delivery, RSO contracts, sales expenses, and the actual profit margin, whatever is left lets you know how much of the HETZER is actually the HETZER. It's an unknown number, which I'm willing to bet is between not very much and don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it whatsoever. 253,000 C-bills. And this is just for the components of this thing. Like, this is bare bones equipment and like the internal structure, drive components, drive equipment. Basically, it's just 200,000 for this thing. This thing is This thing is more or less 6 tons of armor. Is actually kind of crazy. I say kind of crazy because if I was to compare this to a battle mech, if it's the same armor that I'm thinking of, if it's a similar armor to a mech's, which it might not be, it's comparable to an assassin. Yeah, the assassin has 4 tons of armor. Wait a minute. So you're telling me this is if the armor is similar. I don't think it is, but it just says 6 tons of armor. And if we're comparing apples to apples, this fucking thing is on par. This thing is on par, armor and weapon wise, with a hunchback. Let me say that again. For 600,000, this thing is on par with a hunchback. Now, to be fair, this thing has 4 wheels and thus has a couple of issues when it comes to Battletech because drivetrain issues. But you get the firepower of a hunchback in a smaller package. Now, trying to keep this thing running would be a completely different beast. But I'm saying that you have a medium weight battle mech on wheels and it costs less than $1 million or million C-bills. If it wasn't for the manufacturing issues, this thing would actually be
Isn't
amazing.
That right, Gerald?
Please let me out. I gave this lecture already. Plus, I'm out of sandwiches and it's bloody appalling in here.
That's right, Gerald. It's very cheap. And it...
Fucking pure tides stuck in there. Oh, I swear that sounds like Pure Tides and the Assassin from my streams. Which, if you want to see those live, that's going to be at 5 p.m. on the weekends. I did miss one, but that was because my sleep schedule is an absolute mess. But anyways, this thing is
that market
looking
price,
amazing.
That's about 2.5
Besides,
brand new
like,
HETZERs to the base
obvious,
model urban mech.
like,
As
issues
such,
outside
to
of
the discerning battlefield equipment connoisseur, the
its
HETZER
normal
operates
equipment.
under a heavy blanket of scorn, if not outright disgust. However, it still has a place on the battlefield for a number of reasons. The first is, without much worry or even care, you can modify a HETZER however you like. Because what are you going to do? Ruin it? Lower its resale value? As such, there are HETZERs with SRMs, LRMs, lasers, and many other things. Because once the AC-20 breaks, replacing it seems expensive. And, well, the HETZER isn't. With no expensive safety systems to compromise and minimal care already for the crew's survival chances, cutting through the hole to bolt on whatever you found to replace the AC-20 is more common than you would think. In fact,
Oh my god, so you can just slap on whatever the fuck you want onto this thing. That's fucking amazing. The more I see this thing, the more I want to run a campaign with it. With all of like the lore implications of this thing will fucking break. Like, one of these is gonna have issues. I want the entire experience. The more I see this thing, the more I want to experiment with it. This is giving me a complete appreciation for this vehicle.
it just makes business sense to do whatever you please, as the platform isn't even worth recycling. The second reason is, a HETZER crew has only to get lucky once in order to pay for itself. A single hit with an AC-20 that cripples a mech and takes it out of the fight has essentially proved the HETZER's place more than any advertising campaign could ever hope to convey. And at its price point, you can afford to gamble any number of HETZERs versus any target and walk away having
a taste of the sweet back. 4 medium lasers. Again, okay. No. I want to say I want to this damn thing, this refit has 4 medium lasers and has 6 tons of armor. Now I haven't seen it in speed specs yet, which I don't even really have to at this point. This thing is already better than the Assassin at 40 tons. It is 4 medium lasers, which I'm assuming these are chem lasers or something similar to that, because you'd have to have a fusion reactor somewhere in this thing otherwise, which is odd. They don't mention that, but normally for vehicles, normally with vehicles who have an internal combustion engine, they usually have chem lasers or lasers that use ammo, because otherwise you'd have to have a fusion engine, which would make these a little bit more volatile than I would care to field. But I'd almost assume, yeah, these have to be chem lasers. But it doesn't say anything about that, so I don't know. That's an interesting question. But either way, like, this thing is still better than the Assassin.
Likely achieved your intended objectives. And with the common understanding that owning a HETZER is more or less a temporary affair, its crews know there is no real reason to hold back, as bringing a HETZER back from combat is an amazing feat in itself.
Wait, what? Why?
Which adds to the legendary balls-to-the-wall madness and mayhem
Please return the rotary RC5 to
its crews are known for. And regardless of the shade cast on the little guy, its crews frequently say it best.
Heads are gonna heads, mate.
Heads
This
are gonna
bad boy
heads.
can fit so
Mate.
much regret in it.
Yes.
Speaking of regret, next time around we talk about the good and bad battlefield support options that people sometimes confuse for tanks. Until next time, stay safe, keep moving forward, and I'll see you at the next horizon.
Okay. My thoughts on the HETZER. Yeah, it's a piece of garbage, which is why I want all of them. Okay. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to build a campaign where I use just hazards. As many of them as I can. Because of this, I want to do it. I'm not sure if I'll do it in Battletech or on a physical tabletop. I want to do both at some point. But I want to be able to swap out the guns and all that and actually use the HETZER in a proper way. That would be so much damn fun to rip that thing apart and just start building as many of them as I can. Oh, the fun and delight I'm going to have at that thing. I want to see what stuff.
Remedy like it,
But this one is mine.
I will charge forward to meet the enemy. I will shoot until the gun stops working. I will drive the HETZER into combat with battle mechs and underfoot or into ankles as is required. Fuck, assault mech spotted. I am the speed bump of modern warfare, for when I explode there will always be another, and together we will slow them down.
I will be a pain in their side.
Witness me as I ride into Valhalla, shoddy and broken.
Let's kick this pig.
This has done more to sell me on this fucking vehicle than any advertisement ever could. And I'm saying this out of sheer joy, the way that Tex does these videos. I realize that, but Tex, I want you to realize, what you've done. You have propped up Quicksil's value so damn much because I want to have fun with the HETZER. They're pieces of garbage, but I'm going to make it work. And I'm going to have fun just surrounding the enemy and vehicles. I'm going to lose many pilots that way, but you know what? It's going to be fun. So please, please bask in the knowledge that you have probably quadrupled Quicksil's value in the inner sphere. So please make peace with that.
I started my tour out in October of 49.
I love the music at the end. Support the artists, hire them for stuff. Their efforts elevate the project. This film was brought to you. It goes by so quickly. I should pause it at some point. Let's see here. Their efforts elevate these projects to levels undreamed of. I have to say, every one of these people who worked on this project, like including Tax, I know you have come by the comments and said you feel like a tired voice and director, but you're as much part of this as everyone else, and I want to say thank you for these videos because you bring such joy in life to this series, or to the Battletech series as a whole. And to that we say thank you.
I did my part and I managed to just hold the line.
Like even the music that you're hearing, this is all done by their team in-house. I forget who. We'll have to see if I may have missed that particular credit, but I think we had seen who did the music before.
War's always hell, but there's always canopus cocaine.
At this point, it really is just a movie at this point. Like the amount of people that worked on this is absolutely insane.
But I'm right back in Van Zandt, and planners are surely to blame. I set out for glory and fought battles among the stars. But
yeah, Tech, you have elevated. This platform went from I don't really know this platform all that well to I'm going to use this thing for a playthrough of Battletech, and yeah, you have quadrupled their stock value because I'm going to buy all of them, every single one of them, and it's your fault. But we're all gonna have fun, and again, thank you. Because without this, I would not really have known so much about the HETZER or really had the same appreciation, because like I've seen some of the vehicles, but there's something about the way that Black Pants Legion or Tex here does their videos and breathes life into these vehicles. Yes, it's somewhat the editing, but also just the way that he lends his voice to it. The style of jokes and whatnot, it just it really just sells everything. It makes Battletech kind of come alive for me. Almost like you're sitting around a campfire and like you're discussing like the stories and history of Battletech, but also the other vehicles, like these sorts of videos.
Yep, still in here. Can someone please take a letter to Morello's or something?
Yeah, let me get you some sandwiches too, buddy. Really well done video. Yep, and that was, I have no idea why that's there. Anyways, but yeah, that was a really well done video. Really well done video. Again, Tex, you've done a really good job with these, and I want to say thank you for continuing to put out these videos and really inspiring the lot of Battletech. I remember in an old video, I think it was the first part of the American War. You specifically mentioned that you wanted to bring people more into Battletech and show them the ropes. I feel like I might have been around for Battletech and MechWarrior a little bit towards MechWarrior 3, but really hadn't gone into the community until, or not as much until you had shown me a lot more of it. So again, I want to say thank you. I know I've said a lot, but you really do deserve that, you and the team. So with that, this has been Call Sign Annika, signing out.